So friends, I usually don't start with a headline, but today I'm going to. And it's a headline regarding the absurdity that is Rudy Giuliani. This from the New York Times. Headline, Rudy Giuliani loses his lawyers and his cool in court. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Rudy Giuliani keeps acting like a stone-cold clown as he continues to defy court orders to turn over property and assets to Shaye and Ruby Freeman, the two Georgia state election workers he savagely defamed, for which a jury ordered him to pay $148 million in damages. Now, friends, I'm going to read today's reporting at some length, but two things before I do. First, the story of Rudy Giuliani reads like a really bad soap opera. And second, this one will contain a good bit of my editorial additions. Here is the new reporting from the New York Times. Rudolph Giuliani was not having a good day, and it showed. The former New York City mayor was in federal court in Manhattan on Tuesday to discuss his continuing failure to give up nearly $11 million worth of personal assets. The forfeiture was meant as a down payment on the $148 million Mr. Giuliani owes to two Georgia election workers for defaming them by claiming, without evidence, that they helped to steal the 2020 presidential election. But first, Judge Louis Lyman allowed Mr. Giuliani's lawyers to withdraw from the case. They had requested to be removed 2 weeks ago, citing an unspecified, quote, professional ethics concern. So friends, let me add here that when defense lawyers withdraw from representing a client, ordinarily they will say something like, well, we have irreconcilable differences with our client. But that is not what Rudy Giuliani's lawyers chose to tell the judge. That was their basis for needing to withdraw from representing Rudy Giuliani. No, they said they had professional ethics concerns. In other words, they wanted to act ethically. Back to the article. Quote, I'm sorry it came to this, Kenneth Caruso, one of Mr. Giuliani's lawyers, said before he and his co-counsel left the hearing. In a statement on Tuesday, Mr. Caruso said that there had been a difference of opinion with Mr. Giuliani, but they wished his new counsel every success. Yeah, in other words, good luck representing this guy. The focus then shifted to Mr. Giuliani's new lawyer, Joseph Camarata, a former police officer. Mr. Camarata, who has been involved in the case for just over a week, asked that Giuliani's trial, which is scheduled for January 16, be delayed to determine whether the former mayor could keep his condominium in Florida and several custom-made Yankees World Series rings. Mr. Camarata said the delay was necessary because he, Rudy's lawyer, also had to prepare for a December court appearance in Washington where Giuliani could be found in contempt of court for continuing to make false accusations about the two Georgia poll workers, Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Shaye. And that contempt hearing in the courts of Washington, D.C., that's in my backyard, my old stomping ground, is being presided over by Judge Beryl Howell. And I have a feeling she might not be quite as tolerant of Rudy Giuliani's bullshit, it's a legal term, as is Judge Lyman in Rudy's case in New York. But there was another reason Rudy's lawyer gave for why he needs a continuance of the January 16 date when they're supposed to litigate whether Rudy has to give up his home in Florida as well to satisfy the damages judgment that was awarded against him. Here's the second reason Rudy's new lawyer came up with. Also, Mr. Camerata said that Giuliani would like to attend President-elect Donald J. Trump's inauguration on January 20, and a trial could prevent that. So get this, friends. Rudy's lawyer is saying to the judge that Rudy doesn't want to have to be in court for more hearings beginning on January 16th because he wants to attend the inauguration of his RICO co-conspirator, his criminal associate, his charged co-defendant in a Georgia state prosecution, Donald Trump. What a compelling reason to try to convince a judge to grant a continuance. The judge's answer? The answer, Judge Lyman said, was no. The hour-long hearing, punctuated by an angry outburst by Mr. Giuliani, was the most contentious yet in the winding search for his personal assets, which he was ordered to hand over to the two women more than a month ago. For the first time in weeks, the strain of several cases stemming from Mr. Giuliani's time as Trump's personal lawyer appeared to be getting to him as he sat slumped back in the chair with his arms crossed. After missing several deadlines to surrender the bulk of his assets, Giuliani has only turned over a fraction of notable items, including some pieces from his luxury watch collection and the 1980 Mercedes-Benz convertible that he says once belonged to the actress Lauren Bacall. But Mr. Giuliani still has not provided the keys or the title to the vehicle. Yeah, he turned over the car to Shaye and Ruby Freeman, but not the keys. Giuliani has begun the transfer of his most valuable asset, a 10-room apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side that had been listed for sale at more than $6 million. The process has been delayed because the property remains jointly held with his ex-wife, Judith Giuliani. The scant items that have been surrendered are problematic, according to Judge Lyman. Quote, the car without the keys and title is meaningless, the judge said, cutting off Mr. Camerata, Rudy's lawyer, mid-sentence. This quote from the judge, quote, your client is a competent person. It's debatable. Your client is a competent person, the judge added, noting that Mr. Giuliani was a former U.S. attorney. He was, however, recently disbarred in New York and Washington, D.C., and Mr. Giuliani objected. First of all, it is usually the lawyer who objects during court proceedings, and I'm not sure what Rudy Giuliani was objecting to when the judge said, your client is a competent person, and your client was a former U.S. attorney. And Rudy Giuliani objected. This from Giuliani, quote, I've applied for the title, he said of the Mercedes. I haven't gotten it yet. What am I supposed to do? Make it up myself? And yet, Rudy said nothing about the keys, his failure to turn over the keys to the car. All he raised was the fact that he was waiting on the title. We call that impeachment by omission. Trying to rein Rudy in, Judge Lyman warned Giuliani to let his new lawyer speak for him. And here's what Rudy said in reply, quote, somebody has to tell the truth, Mr. Giuliani shot back. Friends, how is that for Rudy Giuliani throwing his own lawyer under the bus, right? When the judge basically tells Rudy to shut up and let his lawyer speak for him, Rudy says, no, because somebody has to tell the truth, implying that his lawyer is not telling the truth. His lawyer, who's been representing him for about a week after Rudy's previous attorneys had to withdraw because they had ethical concerns regarding their client. Here's what Judge Lyman said next. Quote, next time, he's not going to be permitted to speak, Judge Lyman told Mr. Camerata, and the court will have to take action. Next time, the court will have to take action. If you continue to defy court orders, if you speak out when you're not supposed to speak out in court, if you continue to hide your assets from the two women you defamed, the two women you've been ordered to pay $148 million, next time there's going to be consequences. If you keep it up, I might have to do something. Why is there always a next time for the ruling class criminals? Let's finish up with this, friends. If Giuliani continues to miss deadlines in this case, he could face steep penalties, including jail time. There could be similar consequences in Washington, where a judge, Judge Beryl Howell, will decide in December if the former mayor has violated an order not to defame the women by accusing them again of election fraud on recent media appearances. Next time, you, Mr. Defendant, Mr. Respondent, a person of power and influence and connections who wants to attend a presidential inauguration instead of being forced to go to court and make your victims whole, comply with court orders. Next time, if you keep it up, what a bunch of horseshit. Rudy Giuliani should be held in contempt, should be put into a jail cell, and the judge will, in my experience, figuratively give him the keys and say, you can open the jail cell door and walk out anytime you choose. All you need to do is comply with my orders. That will purge the contempt, and you'll be free. But next time, I'm really going to have to consider imposing some sort of a sanction. Next time. You know, friends, most people don't get a next time in the criminal justice system. Surely the people without power or influence, privilege, connections, wealth, they don't get a next time.